Okay, I just thought I'd make a quick video here kind of showing the way I happen to look at the monthly. This is a monthly chart, this is a weekly chart, this is a daily chart. It happens to be target. But the way I look at all three of these charts is kind of a foundation before I look to do anything with the Strat. And you'll see that the Strat signals, they happen to complement the way I look at a chart perfectly, but I really want to know the context before I do anything else. So, and also, again, this is not to say that what I'm doing here is the best way to do it or the only way to do it or anything like that. It just happens to be a consistent way that I look at each stock and determine what condition the stock's in and therefore what Strat signals might apply. So that's the main point of this, but I just thought I'd give you an example as you possibly look to, formulate your own foundation in some way that you're comfortable with. But in terms of, like, for example, this is target. I don't know if I said this already. This is the monthly chart. This is a weekly chart. This is a daily chart. So the first thing I do on any stock with a monthly chart is I just browse it quickly and I see if we're in an uptrend or a downtrend or something, a big trading range. In this case, you could see target is clearly just trending higher, and that's all I want to know. Now you can see here, and I highlighted this to go over it. This is a deep monthly pullback, like 4 months in a row. Then it heads up, and you can see you have monthly pauses, monthly pauses. Currently, we're in this trading range here, and that has certain implications, and this downtrend had certain implications, and the way we're just heading up in this area, that has other implications, but it's an overall uptrend, so keep that in mind. Even if we break down out of this trading range, I'm still going to see the overall price in an uptrend kind of more similar to this action, and I'll have to wait for certain conditions to develop there. So let's just look, for example, once I determine we're in an uptrend, and I'm talking about buy trades at the moment, then I kind of go to the weekly chart. And the weekly chart is kind of everything to me. What I do, and this is a very simple explanation, is when I see a red weekly bar, and this is no matter whether we're an uptrend, downtrend, or anything, I expect the next bar to follow through to the downside and test those lows. When I see a green weekly bar, I expect price to follow through to the upside. Doesn't mean it always happens, but that's kind of the benchmark. And normally when a stock's really like here, when it's going down, in directionally, it kind of holds the midpoint of the prior week and then makes a red bar here. In this case, it's a small bar, so we're kind of near the top. But you head down, you hold the midpoint of those bars, and you keep making lower lows. If you're going to get red, or in a green bar, here's a green bar, and then you hold the midpoint, you go up. I'm expecting the next bar to hold the midpoint and go up. You can see in this case it doesn't, but that's another topic. So anyway, then just to show you how it all flows together, when I have a big red bar like this that I'm expecting to go lower, what I do is I look at the next 5 days of the next week to see how it goes lower, and that kind of sets up those Strat trades. So for example, I thought I'd go through this little area right here, which is kind of this overall downtrend on the monthly. That's confusing because I said it's a big uptrend overall with the stock, but we happen to be moving lower on the monthly in the meantime. And as I think I told you on another post, when you see a kind of a monthly chart that's heading down temporarily, that condition doesn't change quickly. It's not like all of a sudden, within one day, that first green day you see, this is going to change back up. If anything, if you look at this, it's probably a 4 or 5, 6 week period before it eventually, went into a range a little bit and then started higher and formed a monthly green. So keep that in mind in this particular case. Then once you're heading up, then all of these are just pauses along the way. So they're little weekly pauses, maybe a couple of weeks at a time, and then they head higher. So that's just the way it goes. But in terms of just the actual week itself and looking to the 5 days that make up the next week, given the expectations, I thought I'd go through this here and then just go to the current price action real quickly and show you kind of how it all fits together, at least the way I look at it. So if you have a weekly red bar in here and you're kind of in this monthly pullback, you're definitely expecting the next bar to go down. So then I look at the next 5 days. Let's go to it right here. This is where we are. These 5 days happen to be, how is this weekly bar going to continue lower? Well, we start up the first day, then we have a red day, then we have two inside days. So there's the trigger on this inside day to go short right here. And that aligns with the fact that somewhere in the middle of the week, we didn't break those lows yet, and we're going to curl, and I expect it to go lower. So that's a trade. That's an opportune way to look for, the the inside bar, two inside, two down, to possibly go short and take out those lows, which it did. Then what happened is this ends, then you see how the week forms. Does it really go all the way down for 3 days and form another red bar? In this case, we kind of held an inside week. Now, I'm still very biased to the downside because nothing's changed here yet. I'll explain how, once you have these big pullbacks, what I look for to even think about a change to the upside. So I'm looking for that bar to break to the downside, the inside bar to take out that week's low. And the way that develops here is it actually does it looks like on Monday, the very first day, it kind of goes down and breaks through. There could have been an early trade here right out of the gate, to just anticipate that out of the weekly inside bar here. But let's say you didn't do that. Then what happens is it comes up a day, but here's the 2 up, 2 down type of trade. I still early in the week, this is on a Tuesday and a Wednesday, I could take that trade to see if we extend this week lower here. Because again, even though we went up for 2 days, it doesn't mean we didn't go above the midpoint of the prior week. And, I'm still have a down bias. So that's why I can take this 2 down, 2 up, 2 down trade right here. And as it turns out, boom, we go all the way lower and take it out. So then that's what I'm doing each week. I'm kind of watching how the week forms, and then I'm looking at how these 5 days, if I have a down bias here, let's just look at this real quick. On this week, it ended up, you could see red with a selling tail up there. So then on the next 5 days, what happens is we went up for a day, we had this, neutral day here, and then this is a 2 up, 2 down again. And again, it looks like a good trade that worked out and took out those weekly lows. So there were 3 good trades in here, just sticking with that trend. Then what happens is we end up with a inside week. So now all of a sudden I see over 3 weeks of overlapping price action, or maybe it's 2 at this moment. But either way, once it's overlapping like this, all of a sudden we're not trending down anymore. I'm still biased to the downside, but what I look for here, once I see the overlapping action, is the fact that given I still believe this thing's going to turn up at some point, if we now, because of the overlapping action, if we fail to go lower, and this is the key, of what's developing here relative to, what was developing 3 or 4 weeks ago. If we fail to go lower and start up, that to me could be a buy. And that's what you get in here in the circle. You can see here, I'm expecting this week to, every week to go lower, 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 but we're really not following through too much. Then finally, you get that one breakdown here to go lower, right? It looks like a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe it's actually on Friday when it happened. But then we kind of closed up. So this is forming it's really the inside bar, down, 2 up kind of thing on Monday. This Monday was just a tremendous buy to me because you're looking for the change of trend possibly. You're overlapping in here. You get that classic strat pattern. You just took out the low, but you didn't follow through. You knew you didn't follow through because the next day made a new high. If it would have went low, then everything would have worked out and you would have been making a new leg lower. And then anyway, that starts a whole new uptrend here on this day, and we go up. Then you get a green bar. I'm looking for the next green bar to go up. So if you look at this week, what develops here on these next few days? If anything, you get a little inside bar here on Monday, and I actually would have, even though it's close, I would have considered that inside buy. So I could see buying here on this day. Maybe it gapped up, you didn't want to buy it. So here, this ends up being like a 2 down, 2 up kind of trade to at least get continue higher for a day. And then you kind of have, another green week, and you look for, again, same kind of concept. I'm now looking, I'm in an uptrend. I want to see how the next 5 days kind of relate to this week to see if we can head higher and look for strat signals. So that's a very simple explanation of the way I try to tie it all together. And just to show you real quickly, if I zoom it out, this is the current week. If I zoom, the current month and everything. And then if I go to the current week, what I see here is this monthly area. This to me looks like a big trading range at the moment. You could just see that just kind of common sense. So when I see a trading range, I'm looking to buy at the bottom of a range in an overall uptrend. And let's see the way this developed here on the weekly chart. Let me just go quickly to the current daily price action to show you the last 2 weeks. because that's kind of the way it looks like it all formed here. Yeah, on this big red bar, you're expecting things to go down, even though I'm at the bottom of a range. So this is exciting to me because in a sense, I'm expecting it to go down, but I'm also seeing the broadening action here that could be really the good buy signal given the context of the trading range. So on this day, on this week, we're red. And then what did we do? We went down the first day, we paused. So here I'm expecting this inside bar to break down in line with this big red week. But what happens? We get the inside break to the upside. So there's my signal right there on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to go long on the inside breakout, kind of like 2 days inside breakout. And I'm really expecting now exactly what happened, the follow through higher to then make this a neutral week. Eventually, then the next week starts up green. So you've confirmed the 2 down, 2 up on the weekly chart, which is in line with everything you're looking for here. And now we're heading higher. So now I'll see, if we start red, if we keep green on this week for target, we have one more day, then I'll be expecting next week to head up kind of to the top of this range because that's a broad trading range condition. And I'll look for some kind of, within the 5 days, some kind of buy signal, strat buy, that I think will be a good buy to continue higher on this week and also continue to the top of the range. So that kind of explains in very simple terms, what I generally look for as a foundation and how the strat signals apply. I just think you need to know context in some form and you need to do something consistent. And that's kind of just what I wanted to point out here.